Hey guys, welcome back to This Week in BJJ. I'm Budo Jake here with Javier Vazquez, who runs Gracie Rancho in Rancho Cucamonga. Thanks again for coming in today.
Thank you.
And we were talking a little bit earlier, and Javier was telling me how excited he is about self-defense jiu-jitsu. So I wanted to ask you, what kind of moves have you been working on lately?
Well, I mean, the first thing I did was I just went through Grandmaster Elio's Master Techs. I went through and I just tried to learn as much of the techniques, or all the techniques that I could. And the book is a basic guideline. What I've seen, I saw the self-defense, or my development in learning self-defense, as a three-phase process. The first phase is to learn the actual move. The guy grabs you this way, here's the step-by-step on how to do it. The second step is reactionary. So the second they grab, boom, you instantly go to it. The problem with the self-defense, or the way most people are taught self-defense, is that it's dead. It's more like a kata. The guy grabs you this way, you grab the wrist, you go. It's very robotic, and there's no life to it. So what I was taught from the Valente brothers, and if you want to learn the self-defense, go to the Valente brothers in Gracie, Miami. Those guys are incredible at the details, the presentation, the teaching methodologies, the whole thing. It's basically like learning from Grandmaster Elio himself. They do the program, they follow Grandmaster Elio's program to the T. Fantastic and incredible teachers, and they are the ones that really thrust me even more forward after I learned the initial step-by-step. And they're the ones, when I visited them, I knew the step-by-steps of the moves. They're like, now you have to get the reaction. So no matter where you grab, boom, you're instantly going to whatever particular technique. And the problem is that most people don't have that initial reaction. So what they do is they grab that, they look at it, think about it, they look at you, look at the grip, and by that time, boom, the hand comes in, you get hit, done deal. It's gotta be instinctual. The second he grabs, I'm going. The second it happens, when he goes to hit me, sucker punch, you're already blocking. You already know where you have to be before he even goes. I already know from here you're generally not going to kick. You're usually going to either punch or grab. Make sense? So my hands are up. They're in a position. Hickson talked about this when you had him on. You don't just let people walk up to you here, because now you're going to get hit. As they walk up, yeah, my friend, how are you? Yeah, look, my hands are already in a position where I can defend myself. And third and finally, and most importantly, being able to do it against a resisting live opponent. So what I've tried to do this, because I'm not trying to go to bars and get into fights and have people grab me and attack me, is I've been sparring stand-up with it. So as we start standing, you put your hands on my chest, whatever, boom, I'm going to it, or I'm trying to hit the actual self-defense moves against a resisting opponent. And that has really helped me understand exactly where to hit, how to turn the hip, what moves are realistically going to be applicable for me and when. And so phase one was to learn the step-by-step. Phase two was to develop the reaction, so the second you go to be able to do it. And then the final phase for me, this is in my development. I'm not saying that this is written down in any book. This is just my journey through it. Phase three was to be able to do it in a live setting. And the other thing that third phase is doing is reinforcing phase two, which is the reaction, because the second you grab, I'm going to try and perform whatever technique that I want, right? Or whatever's available. I don't do the move that I want. I do whatever move he's presenting to me. Cool. So what I wanted to show was two variations of the headlock defense from standing. And just like with any other fight, at some point, the person has to step forward and be in range to hit you. They have to. Otherwise, there's no fight. Hit me, Jake. There's no fight. They have to close the distance in order to be able to get close enough to you to hit you. And in most street fights, most scenarios, the most common things that happen when people start getting too close is a headlock. And most commonly, there are two things that this guy's going to want to do. Number one, he's going to lock his hands and try to pull your head down, possibly to hit you, possibly to try and throw you to the ground, whatever the case may be. The second scenario that I'm going to discuss is when they grab you and then they start to try and hit you, which is, again, a very common scenario. One guy's hitting and the other guy's punching. Sometimes they'll try to pull your head down and hit you, while other times they'll just grab you and then they just try to hit you this way here. So with both of those techniques, my reaction, my placement, my base, my head positioning, Everything is the same. It just depends whether or not he wants to hit me or not. So if Jake grabs me by a headlock, the first thing I'm going to do is drop in base. Here, boom. And I'm going to connect my hip to his leg. If there's a disconnect here between he and I, he pulls my head down. No matter how strong I am, there's too much leverage on my neck and head, and my body will, go ahead one more time please, bend at the waist, right? But if I connect my hip, go ahead, do it one time please, pull my head down, it's a lot more stable. So that's the first part, is my base. I bend my knees, squat, and keep my head nice and high. Makes sense? And the more he tries to pull down, my energy comes forward. So I don't fight him with my neck, I fight him with my hips. So the more he pulls down, yes, very nice, good. The second thing, simultaneously this is gonna happen, is as he grabs my head, my hands are gonna sneak into position here. So my hand is gonna sneak on the inside, while my other hand here is gonna wrap around the outside. Again, my hip is connected and my head is up. So in this case, he keeps his hands locked. The opponent wanted to pull my head down. So the first thing I have to do is prevent the pull down. Go ahead, pull me down. So I'm here. Once I've established my base and he's, well, not that he's resting, but you know that they do that initial jerk, go ahead. And then at some point he relaxes. When they relax, we change and do this. Knee on belly, and I would punch him if I need to. So he grabs my head, my hands swim into position here. If I'm on the outside and he decides to try and hit me, I'm a step behind. So my hands are here. If he tries to hit me, we're going to deal with that in a minute. But I'm already positioned in a way where I'm safe from his strikes. So as he grabs, I'm here. He tries to pull my head down, I'm connecting. Once I've established my base, now I change. One hand goes underneath the jaw, the other hand's gonna cut behind the knee. Now, it's not my hands that are lifting him, it's the pop in my hip. Once I pop my hips, his feet come off the ground. Now I navigate and rotate him while in the air. Boom! Down he goes. Knee goes on the belly. Punch him if you need to. If I need to go to the ground, I will pass the hand by, hands to the ground, and establish my mount. The reason I pass the hand by is so his hands are buried underneath my armpit, so again, he can't hit me. Okay? So one more time, he goes to hit me, I'm here. If he locks his hands, tries to pull my head down, prevent the pull down first. Then we change, 1, 2. The pop in the hips are what lift them, and when you pop them up, it's obvious here that I'm not trying to slam Jake. But in a street fight, I'm going up and I am going through him, or I'm going to try to throw him through the ground. Boom. Now you have to make sure when you do this that you bend your waist because you're holding onto my head. So if I try to slam you and I don't bend, you're going to pull me down. So I already know when I pick you up, I'm going to slam this way, bending my knees and bending at the waist. So I'm not doing it to put you down gently. I'm doing it to slam you and knock you out. So as he grabs, boom, it's here. Once I've established my base, now we change. Boom. Obviously, I'm putting him down gently, but you get the picture. Nice. The second one, my reaction is exactly the same. Same scenario, but this time you're trying to hit me. Yes. So from here, we have two options. Option one is if he pulls the arm. Pull the arm, slide and grab his wrist. Reach around the arm, control the biceps, drop the elbow. Glue the hand to the chest, take one step back, step across, roll your neck, elbow makes a little shell, lean, drive the weight north, right? So as he goes to hit me, I'm here. If he doesn't pull the arm, I slide and push his arm across. Some people like to come on the inside, but in my experience and the way I've been taught by the Valentes, going around the outside gives you a little bit better control. So if he tries to hit me, great. If that arm over there starts to slip out, I have to come back home. This is primary. Even if I'm already here, if I start to feel that, that's the one that's going to hurt me. So I pass it by, grip, and glue. A lot of people like to take this arm off, but if I take the arm off, he goes like this, and throws a back elbow. Bam! So he can rip it. You've seen guys, they rip and go, bam! One more time, please. So if I'm here and I take this off, slow motion, rip, Yes. So I don't ever take his hand off of my chest. My hand remains on his chest, or excuse me, his hand remains on my chest, elbows tight. Get your hand away, please. Thank you. And I step back and look up. As I look up, what I'm doing is I'm making space for myself to get my head out. My shoulder here is connected. So my hip is connected, the shoulder, go ahead, get my head down, pull my head down. This is key because if I just step back, pull my head down, yeah, pull my head down, yes. So that shoulder connection is huge. Now I'll take a second step, roll my head. I picked this little detail from Henry Akins, who's fantastic as well, one of Hickson's black belts. My elbow will drop below his wrist. Because if I'm out here, now I'm basically curling. Resist, please. Resist. Resist. So I use my legs to drive it up. I make a little shelf here and bam, blast and break his shoulder. So he goes in and punches. Boom, I'm here. Slide, pass, grip, and hold. Take a step back. One, glue the shoulder. Take a second step, roll the neck as my elbow comes under. Control, slowly apply pressure. Now, a combination of it is if I'm here, and Jake, go ahead and rip your arm out. I go with you. So there's a lot of times where the guy goes to rip the arm away. I'm already here, I've established control here, and I'm here, and he goes to, well, there's slow motion, as he goes to rip away, look, I just go with him. How nice of you, Jake, to help me out. Makes sense? So, option one, my reaction is exactly the same. Go ahead, please. Whether I'm here, you lock. Do it again. Don't lock. Try to punch me. Go. It's the same reaction. Same exact. That's why I like to teach them together, because they go together. If his hands are unlocked, pass this way. If he locks his hands, connect the hip, boom, boom, lift, and slam.
Very nice. Thanks so much for sharing today, Javi. That was a lot of fun. If people want to find out more about you or visit your school, where can they go?
My academy is Gracie Rancho, or the website's Gracie Rancho. I also have an Instagram that people tend to really like. I teach little short technique clips. That is on @Javier Showtime on Instagram and on Twitter.
Thank you guys for watching This Week in BJJ. We'll see you next time.
That concludes this installment of This Week in BJJ. Watch and review past episodes on iTunes and YouTube. And then be sure to join us again right here for another live edition of This Week in BJJ. Brought to you by BudoVideos.com.